This is the price of your betrayal, Gales. Handcuffs and shame.
6 years ago, when my father passed away unexpectedly, he left me nothing but his old construction tools and about $1,000 in outstanding debt. I was only 23 years old and had absolutely nothing to my name, but I decided to work like a complete maniac every single day, building a residential renovation business from scratch with my bare hands. Now I'm pulling in around $280,000 annually with 8 full-time employees working under my management. 3 years ago, I met Jessica, this absolutely gorgeous real estate agent with expensive champagne tastes, serious ambition, and a personality that could light up any room she entered. She was stunning, intelligent, and knew exactly what she wanted from life. I didn't mind spoiling her with expensive dinners, designer clothes, luxury vacations, and whatever else she desired, because I genuinely thought she was worth every single penny I spent on her. 8 months ago, I got down on one knee and proposed with a custom-made $22,000 engagement ring because she specifically told me multiple times that she deserved nothing but the absolute best that money could buy. Our wedding was scheduled for 3 months away, and I'd already dropped $35,000 in completely non-refundable deposits for the venue, catering, flowers, photography, and everything else she insisted we needed for her dream wedding ceremony. 2 years back, I made what I thought was an incredibly smart business decision and brought in Ryan as my business partner. This guy was smooth as silk when it came to handling difficult clients and closing complicated deals, while I focused entirely on managing daily operations and making sure all our projects got completed on time and under budget. We were in the middle of planning a massive commercial expansion that could potentially set us both up for life, with multi-million-dollar government and corporate contracts. Yesterday started like any other normal Tuesday in my life. I came home early from a complicated plumbing job site because the emergency we thought would take all day got resolved much faster than any of us expected. When I pulled into my driveway around 3 p.m., I immediately noticed Ryan's expensive truck parked there, which wasn't unusual at all since he came over to my house regularly to discuss business strategies, review important contracts, and plan our expansion into commercial development projects. But the exact moment I walked through my front door, something felt fundamentally wrong with the entire atmosphere. The tension in the air was so thick you could cut it with a knife. They were sitting on opposite ends of my expensive leather couch, looking exactly like they were attending a funeral service for someone they both loved dearly. Jessica's eyes were completely red and swollen, like she'd been crying continuously for several hours, and Ryan couldn't even bring himself to make direct eye contact with me. He just kept staring down at his hands like a guilty child who'd been caught stealing cookies. My stomach immediately dropped to the floor because I could instinctively feel that something absolutely terrible was about to happen to my life. Jessica started with those 4 simple words that changed everything forever. We need to talk seriously. I'm pregnant. My very first reaction was pure, unadulterated joy and overwhelming excitement. We talked extensively about having children together after the wedding ceremony, and even though this news was coming earlier than we'd originally planned, I thought sometimes life just happens when it wants to happen. I was literally grinning like a complete idiot, practically bouncing up and down with happiness, saying, "Oh my God, honey, that's absolutely amazing news. This is incredible. We'll figure everything out perfectly and make this work beautifully." Then Ryan finally managed to slowly look up at me with this completely devastated, guilt-ridden expression on his face and said the exact words that instantly destroyed my entire world. "Bro, it's mine. The baby is mine. I'm so damn sorry, man." The next several minutes are honestly just a complete blur in my memory. Ryan started desperately explaining how their secret affair had been going on for approximately 4 months, right around the exact time we signed our biggest contract worth $1.2 million with a major commercial development company. He kept frantically saying how they couldn't help themselves, how they never intended for any of this to happen, how it just evolved naturally from working closely together on various projects. Jessica was sobbing uncontrollably, repeatedly saying she still loved me deeply, but was completely confused about her true feelings and didn't know what she actually wanted from life anymore. But here's the part that absolutely floored me and showed just how completely delusional these two people had become. They actually wanted the 3 of us to sit down together like civilized adults and figure out how to make this work for everyone involved. Ryan genuinely believed we could somehow remain business partners and co-parent this child together, like some kind of twisted modern family arrangement straight out of a soap opera. Jessica suggested maybe we could take a temporary break from our engagement, but continue living together in my house while she sorted through her emotional confusion and decided what she really wanted. I asked them both point blank how long this betrayal had been going on behind my back. Ryan admitted it had been approximately 4 months, which meant they started screwing each other right after Christmas, while I was working overtime shifts and weekends to pay for our expensive wedding, the house down payment, and building our future together. The pregnancy timeline made everything even more disgusting and heartbreaking. She was about 10 weeks along, which meant they were screwing each other senseless, while I was busting my 12 hours a day to provide for our life. I told them both to get the hell out of my house immediately and never come back. Ryan tried giving me this pathetic, desperate speech about how we're still brothers, and our friendship and business partnership were too important and valuable to ruin over what he kept calling personal matters. Jessica cried even harder, frantically asking where she was supposed to go since this house had been her home for the past 2 years and all her belongings were here. I said I didn't give a single crap about their problems and they needed to figure it out on their own like adults. I've been staying at my buddy Connor's place for 3 days now. He's a plumber who sometimes works with my construction crew on larger projects, and he's been literally keeping me from going back to that house and doing something violent I'd definitely regret later. The guy has this incredibly twisted sense of humor and keeps making jokes about laying pipe, just to make me laugh instead of punching holes in his walls. Honestly, his stupid jokes are probably the only thing keeping me remotely sane right now. Here's where this situation becomes a complete nightmare, though. Ryan and I have built a successful business together with active contracts currently worth over $2 million. Our biggest client specifically requested that Ryan handle their account personally because they absolutely loved his smooth presentation style and his ability to explain complex renovation concepts in simple terms. If this partnership completely explodes, I could potentially lose everything I've worked 6 years to build from absolutely nothing. Jessica hasn't stopped texting me since I walked out 3 days ago. Most of her messages are about how we can somehow get through this crisis as a family, and how she never wanted to hurt me and still loves me deeply. Ryan sent me this incredibly long message about how our friendship and our business partnership are both too important and valuable to destroy over what he keeps calling personal matters. Personal matters? Sleeping with my fiancée behind my back for 4 months while I'm working myself to passing is just a damn personal matter to him. Fortunately, the house is only in my name legally, but Jessica has been living there for 2 years and probably has some kind of tenant rights according to Colorado state law. The wedding venue is demanding the final payment of $18,000 within exactly 30 days, or we lose all the deposits we've already paid. The custom engagement ring cost me $22,000 and is completely non-refundable according to the jeweler's strict policies. My lawyer buddy says I need to be extremely careful with this complicated business situation because it could get very messy very quickly. Ryan legally owns 35% of the company and has legitimate contractual rights to his share of all current contracts and future earnings. If I try to kick him out of the partnership without just legal cause, he could potentially sue me for his portion of everything we've built together over the past 2 years. I feel completely trapped in every possible direction. I can't go home without seeing Jessica's belongings everywhere and being reminded of her betrayal. I can't go to work without seeing Ryan's face and wanting to punch him. I can't cancel the wedding without losing a small fortune in deposits. I can't fire Ryan without risking my entire business going bankrupt. After getting tons of advice from people online, I hired a real attorney instead of just relying on my lawyer friend, and spent an entire week going through every single business document, contract, receipt, and financial record related to both my company and personal finances. What I discovered during this investigation changed absolutely everything about this situation. Turns out Ryan had made some very serious legal mistakes that gave me exactly the ammunition I needed. He'd been systematically taking clients to expensive dinners and charging everything to the business account, plus expensive golf outings, strip club visits, and even a weekend trip to Las Vegas that he claimed was for networking purposes with potential clients. The total misuse of company funds was around $23,000 over the past year alone. But here's the real smoking tool that got my lawyer extremely excited. Ryan has been telling potential clients that he's actually the main partner, and I'm just some operations guy who handles the manual labor and follows orders. He even gave several important clients his personal cell phone number and explicitly told them to call him directly for any real business decisions instead of going through proper company channels. My attorney explained that this gives me solid legal grounds to terminate the entire partnership for breach of fiduciary duty and misrepresentation of his role in the company. More importantly, I can force him to sell his shares at the value they had before our current contracts were signed instead of their current inflated value. That means approximately $15,000 instead of the $200, plus they'd be worth with all our current contracts included in the calculation. I gave Jessica a formal 30-day eviction notice as required by Colorado state law and immediately changed all the locks on my house. She can pick up her belongings with 24 hours advance notice and a police escort if necessary, but she's not living in my house anymore under any circumstances. Ryan tried cornering me at the office the next morning, desperately saying we needed to fix this like men, and that he'd do whatever it takes to make things right between us. I told him to have his lawyer contact mine if he wanted to discuss any business matters. The look of complete panic on his face when I mentioned lawyers was absolutely priceless. Apparently, he thought I was just going to let him keep everything without any legal consequences whatsoever. I decided to be proactive and called our biggest client myself to explain the situation as professionally as possible. I told them that Ryan would no longer be representing the company due to serious ethical violations and asked if they wanted to continue their project under my direct personal management instead. Their response completely shocked me. Thank God. Ryan always seemed unprofessional and made us extremely uncomfortable with his pushy sales tactics, but we tolerated it because we thought you personally endorsed his approach and we wanted to work with your company's excellent reputation. I called 3 other major clients and got almost identical responses from all of them. It turns out Ryan's smooth talking actually made people very uncomfortable and suspicious, but they put up with it because they respected my company's quality work and assumed I approved of his methods. So now I'm restructuring the entire business from top to bottom. I'm promoting my experienced foreman Alex to project manager, hiring a real accountant to handle finances properly, and cutting Ryan out of everything completely. My lawyer says the fraud angle gives me strong grounds to completely void his partnership share, but the buyout route will be much cleaner and faster. But Jessica and Ryan turned out to be way more vengeful and vindictive than I could have ever imagined in my worst nightmares. Before Jessica's eviction deadline expired, she decided to completely empty my house of everything valuable that wasn't literally nailed down to the floor. I'm talking about my expensive 65-inch television, the high-end sound system, all my power tools from the garage, even my grandmother's jewelry that was locked in the bedroom safe. Probably around $15,000 worth of stuff just disappeared overnight. I called the police immediately, but since she'd been living there for 2 years, they said it was a civil matter that had to be resolved through the court system. She's claiming everything was either gifts I gave her during our relationship or shared property we bought together with joint finances. But that wasn't even close to the worst part of their coordinated revenge campaign. Jessica and Ryan started systematically calling my clients directly, telling them I was having a complete mental breakdown and that current projects might not be completed on time or within the agreed budget. Ryan specifically told 3 different clients that I'd been making dangerous decisions on job sites and acting erratically around power tools and heavy equipment. Their sabotage campaign actually worked initially and cost me real money. I lost 2 smaller contracts totaling $45,000 because the clients got scared about my supposed mental state and decided to back out completely. My biggest commercial client put their entire $1.2 million project on indefinite hold until they could get clarity on my company's stability and leadership. I was absolutely furious and wanted to drive over to Ryan's apartment and knock the crap out of him with a crowbar. But then my lawyer pointed out something brilliant. They had just handed me a perfect defamation lawsuit on a silver platter. Everything was thoroughly documented in emails and recorded phone conversations. Colorado is a one-party consent state for recording, and Ryan didn't realize I have complete access to all our company phone records. He'd been using company phones to make these sabotage calls, creating a perfect digital trail of his deliberate attempts to destroy my business. Jessica escalated her social media campaign against me, posting dramatic messages on Facebook claiming that I had heartlessly abandoned her during her pregnancy and that she was basically homeless because of my cruelty and vindictiveness. Her friends and family members started calling me nonstop with angry, threatening messages. Her mother actually called me crying hysterically, saying, "You're destroying an innocent woman's life. How can you be so heartless to someone who's carrying a child? I told her to ask Jessica about the $15,000 in stolen property, and that conversation ended pretty quickly. Marcus was even worse with his reputation-destroying campaign. He started going around to industry contacts, saying that I was trying to steal his clients, and that he had actually built the business, while I was just some guy with a hammer who followed orders like an employee. He even posted on LinkedIn that he was starting his own construction company and that our former clients should follow him for continuity and professional service. The joke was completely on him, though. Our partnership agreement includes a very strict non-compete clause preventing him from soliciting our clients for 18 months after the partnership dissolves. My lawyer was already drafting a cease and desist letter before Ryan even finished his LinkedIn post. But then Ryan and Jessica made the stupidest mistake humanly possible and escalated this situation beyond what I thought was even possible. Last Tuesday, I went to my house to do a final walkthrough inspection before Jessica's court-ordered move-out deadline. I brought Alex with me as a witness because my lawyer had specifically instructed me to never be alone with Jessica again for legal protection purposes. When I arrived at my own house, I found Ryan inside acting like he owned the place. Jessica claimed she had invited him over to help her pack up her belongings before the deadline expired. I told them both they had exactly 5 minutes to grab what they absolutely needed and leave my property forever. That's when Ryan started getting physically aggressive and confrontational with me. He said I couldn't tell him what to do and that he had rights as the biological father of Jessica's baby. Then he actually pushed me backward hard enough to make me stumble. Now I'm 6'2" and spent 6 years swinging heavy hammers for a living. Ryan is maybe 5'9" on a good day, and his idea of manual labor is carrying golf clubs to his car. But I kept my cool and didn't retaliate because Alex was recording everything on his phone camera. Ryan pushed me again, even harder this time, clearly trying to provoke me into hitting him back so he could claim self-defense. Then Jessica started screaming at the top of her lungs. "He's attacking Ryan! Someone please help us! Call the police right now!" Here's the absolutely beautiful part of this whole situation that makes me smile every time I think about it. Alex's video footage clearly shows Ryan pushing me twice while I'm standing there with my hands completely at my sides, never touching either of them or making any aggressive moves whatsoever. It shows Jessica frantically motioning for Ryan to defend himself against me when I never laid a single finger on anyone. But they had no idea about the video evidence we had captured. Exactly 20 minutes later, 2 police officers showed up at my construction office. Ryan had filed formal attack and battery charges against me, claiming I had violently attacked him without any provocation whatsoever, and that Jessica had witnessed the entire incident and could corroborate his story. When I calmly showed the responding officer Alex's crystal-clear video footage, Ryan's entire fabricated story fell apart immediately and completely. Not only had he blatantly lied to the police, which is a serious felony by itself, but the video clearly showed him physically attacking me while Jessica attempted to file a completely false police report as an accessory. The officer asked me if I wanted to press criminal charges against both of them for attack and filing false reports. Of course I freaking did. Ryan was arrested that same night for attack, battery, and filing a false police report. Jessica was charged with filing a false report and criminal conspiracy. Both of them now face possible jail time and permanent criminal records that will follow them for the rest of their lives. But wait, because it gets even better than that. While Ryan was being arrested and processed at the county jail, I had my accountant immediately freeze all company assets pending the final dissolution of our partnership. That's when we discovered that Ryan actually owed the company $31,000 in completely unauthorized expenses that I hadn't discovered during my initial investigation. He'd been systematically using our company credit card for personal expenses while claiming everything was legitimate client entertainment and business networking. We found charges for Jessica's expensive yoga membership, romantic dinners at high-end restaurants while I was away working on job sites, even a long weekend trip to Aspen that he told me was for networking opportunities with potential commercial clients. My accountant said Ryan had basically been financing his entire affair with my fiancée using company money and my business credit. Ryan's lawyer called me desperately wanting to negotiate some kind of deal to keep him out of prison. Ryan was facing serious criminal charges, a major civil lawsuit for the stolen company money, and possible personal bankruptcy if he couldn't make full restitution to the business. His lawyer asked if I would consider dropping the criminal charges in exchange for Ryan voluntarily giving up his entire partnership share for exactly $1. one single dollar. Connor thought I should absolutely take that deal without hesitation. You get everything you want, and Ryan learns the most expensive lesson of his entire life. Plus, watching him explain to people why he sold his share of a successful company for $1 will be pure entertainment for years to come. My lawyer agreed completely and enthusiastically. Ryan's criminal charges wouldn't disappear, but getting him out of my business permanently for practically nothing was worth infinitely more than dragging this through the court system for years. Ryan looked like he had aged 10 years when he finally signed those partnership dissolution papers. His lawyer kept desperately trying to negotiate better terms, but mine just kept pointing to the pending criminal charges and the $31,000 he owed in restitution to the company. The final offer was simple and completely non-negotiable. Sign over your entire partnership share for $1, and I won't pursue additional criminal charges for the stolen company funds. Take it or leave it. He took it, obviously, because he had no other choice. Connor was there for moral support during the signing ceremony, and afterward he told Ryan with a huge grin, "Congratulations, man, you just set the record for the most expensive affair in Colorado history. That little fling cost you about $200,000 and a successful business. I really hope it was worth it." Ryan didn't find Connor's comment nearly as funny as the rest of us did. The real karma hit hard when Jessica's entire situation completely collapsed like a house of cards. Her parents had hired a private investigator after I showed them documented proof of the theft and the false police reports. They wanted to know exactly how far her lies extended before deciding whether to continue supporting her financially. The investigator discovered that Jessica had actually been lying about absolutely everything for many months. She wasn't just cheating on me with Ryan, she was simultaneously seeing at least 2 other men at the same time, including some wealthy married clients she had met during real estate showings for expensive properties. The pregnancy timeline didn't match Ryan's story at all. According to medical records that the investigator managed to access legally, she had actually gotten pregnant before Ryan and I had even signed our partnership agreement. She had been lying to everyone about who the biological father actually was. Jessica's parents called me personally to apologize and let me know they were completely cutting her off financially. Her father said, "We raised her better than this, but we absolutely cannot continue enabling this destructive behavior." They also forced her to return my expensive $22,000 engagement ring. I got my ring back and immediately sold it, using that money to purchase new equipment for the business. Meanwhile, Ryan has been telling everyone who will listen that he's starting his own construction company, but absolutely nobody in the industry wants to work with him or hire him. Word travels incredibly fast in the construction business, and now everyone knows he's a liar, a thief, and completely unreliable. Alex heard that Ryan applied for jobs at 3 of our biggest competitors. All 3 companies called me asking for professional references. I simply sent them copies of the police reports and the partnership dissolution agreement showing that he sold his share for $1. Ryan's construction career in Colorado is completely finished, and he'll never work in this industry again. My business, on the other hand, is absolutely booming beyond my wildest expectations. Without the constant drama from Ryan and the financial demands from Jessica, I've been able to focus entirely on growing the company professionally. I've landed 2 huge commercial contracts worth a combined $3.2 million, hired 3 new employees, and we're completely booked through next year. Revenue projections show that I'll earn about $400,000 more this year than I ever did with Ryan dragging down the business with his incompetence and theft. But the story doesn't end there, because last month both Ryan and Jessica hit absolute rock bottom and came crawling back to me with the most pathetic request imaginable. Ryan got out of jail 2 months ago and couldn't find work anywhere in Colorado. His criminal record combined with all the stories about our partnership made him completely unemployable in the construction industry. He eventually had to move in with his elderly grandmother in Nebraska because even his own parents refused to help him anymore. Jessica's situation became even worse than Ryan's. The wealthy married man's wife sued her and won a $55,000 judgment for emotional distress and alienation of affection. Jessica declared bankruptcy, but that particular judgment survives the bankruptcy process, so she'll be paying that debt for the next 20 years. Her parents finally kicked her out of their house when she refused to get any kind of job and kept bringing random men home while claiming she was looking for a father figure for her baby. Last month, I got a call from my lawyer. Ryan and Jessica had somehow scraped together money to hire him and approached me with what they were calling a big business opportunity. They wanted to offer their services to help me expand into the Nebraska and Wyoming markets. Ryan would use his supposed contacts in Nebraska, and Jessica would handle client relations and marketing. In return for their expertise, they wanted me to pay off all of Jessica's legal debts, give Ryan a company truck, and split the profits 50-50 on any expansion into new markets. I told my lawyer to set up a meeting, not because I had any interest in their delusional proposal, but because I wanted to see exactly how desperate and pathetic they had become. Connor insisted on coming with me as my business consultant and spent an hour practicing his most serious professional expression in the mirror. When they arrived at my office, they looked like they had been living rough on the streets for months. Ryan had lost at least 30 pounds and looked like he hadn't had a decent haircut or shave in half a year. Jessica was wearing ill-fitting clothes that had clearly seen much better days and had that desperate, hungry look that truly broken people develop over time. Their business proposal was even more delusional than I had expected. Ryan said, "I know we've had our differences in the past, but I've learned a tremendous amount about business development during my time away from Colorado. The Nebraska market is completely wide open for quality contractors with proper vision and leadership." Jessica added, "Being a single mother has really taught me about responsibility and professional accountability. I'm ready to be a true business professional and contribute meaningfully to a growing company with real potential." Connor couldn't keep a straight face and started coughing loudly to cover up his uncontrollable laughter. I let them finish their entire 20-minute pitch, which was basically pure desperation disguised as a legitimate business opportunity. When they were completely finished, I asked them directly, "So let me make sure I understand this correctly. You want me to pay off Jessica's massive debts, give Ryan a company truck, and split profits equally with two people who stole from me, lied about me to my clients, and actively tried to destroy my business?" Ryan replied desperately, "Look, we know we made some serious mistakes in the past, but this could be a genuine new beginning for all of us. A real chance to put everything behind us and build something successful together," Jessica added with tears in her eyes. "Please, I have a daughter who needs stability and security. This opportunity could provide a real future for all of us." That's when I delivered the line that Connor and I had practiced multiple times. "You know what? I'm absolutely going to help you both." For the first time in months, their faces lit up with genuine hope and excitement. "I'm going to help you learn the most important lesson of your entire lives. Actions have permanent consequences that you cannot escape from. You burned every bridge, destroyed every relationship, and lost every opportunity because of your own decisions and choices. The help you actually need isn't a job or money. It's accepting complete responsibility for what you did and learning to live with the results forever." Ryan asked desperately, "What exactly does that mean for us?" "It means get the hell out of my office right now and never contact me again for any reason whatsoever. You made your choices. Now you get to live with them for the rest of your lives," Connor added with a huge smile. "And maybe next time, don't crap where you eat." They left my office in tears, two adults in their late 20s, crying like children, because they finally understood that their actions had permanent consequences they couldn't undo or escape from. I felt bad for approximately 30 seconds. Then I remembered everything they had put me through and went back to feeling absolutely fantastic about my life. 3 days later, Jessica sent me a desperate text message. "Please reconsider your decision. I'm about to lose custody of my daughter permanently, and I have nowhere else to turn." I replied, "You should have thought about that before you decided to be a lying, manipulative criminal. Not my problem anymore." Ryan sent a similar message. "I'm going to be homeless soon. My grandmother can't afford to support me anymore, and I have nowhere else to go." I replied, "Good. Maybe sleeping on the street will teach you not to steal from people who try to help you. My company just signed a massive $4.2 million contract to renovate an entire casino complex in Nevada. I'm opening a second office location and hiring 12 additional full-time employees. I heard through industry contacts that Ryan's grandmother died last month and left her house to a cousin instead of him. Apparently, even she had become completely disgusted with his behavior and changed her will. Jessica lost custody of her daughter to her own parents and now faces additional fraud charges for trying to collect social benefits while hiding assets and income. They thought they were so incredibly smart and could have everything they wanted. They thought they could sleep with my fiancée, steal my money, destroy my business, and then crawl back when everything went wrong. Instead, they taught me the most valuable lesson of my entire life. Sometimes the best thing people can do for you is show you exactly who they really are, so you can cut them out of your life permanently and completely. I'm 31 now, completely debt-free. My business is more successful than I ever dreamed possible, and I'm dating an amazing woman who's nothing like Jessica. Life is absolutely incredible, and it keeps getting better every single day. Ryan and Jessica can solve their own problems now. They made their decisions, and now they have to live in the world those decisions created for them.